I am back from vacation. We went a couple days without video, so my bosses said, Tyler, you guys got to get to 54,000 subscribers before the end of July. So don't fail me. Don't get me cooked here by my bosses at work. Go down below and hit that subscribe button for free Celtics offseason content every single day the rest of the way. What's going on, Green Teamers? You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Tyler Smith. And on today's show, we're sharing some major news. Nothing with like that's super crazy layered. We're going to go through a bunch of Celtics news nuggets that have happened over the past few days that I have been away. And majorly on Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum here. We'll start with Jaylen Brown and him sounding off on his role with the Boston Celtics throughout his career. And then the back half of today's show will round out with a major Jayson Tatum injury update about his progress through his Achilles tendon recovery. But first, Jaylen Brown sounds off. He joined Kyrie Irving on a live stream, was just kind of talking about basketball in general and his career so far in the NBA and how he really hasn't been able to blossom to his full potential, I guess, so far in the league, playing second fiddle to Jayson Tatum and a bunch of other co-stars throughout his Celtics tenure. Here's what he had to say about his NBA role so far. He says, "People haven't seen me at my best because we have a loaded roster. So sometimes you need to do what needs to be done as a team. When you're on a team, you've got to make sacrifices. Not that there's anything wrong with being a part of a team. Look, there's nothing really bad. Celtics fans on Twitter were kind of misconstruing Jaylen Brown's words here. It's he's ungrateful for his situation. Like, this guy makes $300 million. He shouldn't be complaining about his role and making sacrifices. Like, look, I'll say this about Jaylen Brown. He's a great player, and he's a rightful Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He is clutched up in so many situations for the Boston Celtics. He's a great player, but he's not as great as he thinks he is. He does believe that he deserves to be a number one in this league, and I just don't think he'll ever get that being on Jayson Tatum's basketball team, the Boston Celtics here. And look, the numbers suggest that he is, a top 20 to 15 basketball player in the NBA over the past 4 seasons, no doubt about it, but even looking back to 22-23, his best counting stats here, this is a guy who's still inconsistent from three-point range year in and year out on high volume, in a league where you need to be high efficiency from long range. Yeah, he's efficient from 2-point, and he's got good bag work in the mid-range, but this is also a player that in his best statistical year set the record for most turnovers in a game 7, set the record for most turnovers in a playoff series. There's still limitations to Jaylen Brown's game to where I look at a guy like Jayson Tatum, there's not as many weaknesses there. Yeah, you could point to, I guess, maybe final situations where Tatum wasn't as clutch, or he didn't hit the big shot, or he wasn't tasked with guarding Luka Doncic. And yes, Jaylen Brown is an elite, top level, top 5, I would say, wing defender in this league. And he'll have the opportunity to show this season without Jayson Tatum in the lineup that he can be the number one, and he can will a not-so-great team to a great record in this league. And the Eastern Conference is wide open this year. He's going to have the opportunities to do so. In the 40 or so games throughout his career without Jayson Tatum, he's put up stellar numbers on really good efficiency. He has shown he can do this in this league. Yeah, the three-point number is still not great, but we're going to see this version of Jaylen Brown this year. This stat line on your screen, I'm sure those are the numbers we're going to be seeing from JB this upcoming season, with him having the keys and the full green light to be the number one and the driving force to whatever type of success that Boston's going to have this year. I think he's going to have nearly the best statistical season of his career to this point. He's entering year 9. It's crazy to conceptualize in my brain, but we'll see how far he can actually take this Celtics roster. In my head, it doesn't look, or on paper, it doesn't look all that great. Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. Then we start, I don't even know where we look at the rotation thereafter. George Niang, the center rotation's all out of whack. A lot of weight is being put on the shoulders of Jaylen Brown, who, by the way, is recovering from a partially torn meniscus. So we'll see what version we get, and we'll see how far the Celtics can go this year with Jaylen Brown running the show and Jayson Tatum on the sideline. What do you guys think? Can Jaylen Brown lead this roster to the postseason? Have we not seen the best version of Jaylen Brown yet? Let me know in the comment section if he can lead this C's roster to the postseason, yes or no. Let me know down below. Let's talk further about the rest of the Celtics roster, because they did add some players after losing Luke Kornet and presumably Al Horford this offseason as well. They brought in Luca Garza from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then they dipped back into the Timberwolves well and brought in Josh Minott as well to kind of be a versatile wing defender here who can guard multiple positions. And both these guys are pretty ecstatic to kind of join this Celtics regime here that it looks kind of wide open for them to seek out roles in this rotation. Like, it's looking like a gap year, and especially in Luca Garza's case, he is going to have probably the easiest path to a role in this a carved out role in this rotation this upcoming season. He sat down with Noah Dalzell of Celtics blog, and he was talking about joining the Celtics here. He said, obviously the franchise speaks for itself, and just the winning and in the history. I'm a big basketball junkie, so obviously the chance to put on that uniform and play for the Celtics is attractive enough. But obviously there's a lot of opportunity, especially in the front court with the guys that we have. I think the front office and the coaches believe in me and what I can do, and I just saw that as a really good opportunity for me at this stage in my career. Look, he hasn't really played all that much, but this is a player who was the National Player of the Year back in his days with the Iowa Hawkeyes. Like, he is a very polished offensive talent. I think he's kind of a plug-and-play guy when it comes to his fit offensively with Boston. As a player in the pick and roll and the short roll, he can hit these open guys and just have the IQ to make the right reads on the offensive end as he's going to gain this opportunity. When he's got the opportunity in Minnesota, he's made the most of it. I'm concerned about the mobility and the defense a little bit, but as far as his offensive fit, I think he's going to be really, really great. And he's played behind some really, really great talents in Minnesota to this point. He's talked about that as well. He said, I feel like I learned so much from my time in Minnesota, from being around those type of guys, talking about Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, some really skilled players on both ends of the floor. But I think it was time to find the opportunity to get on the floor. I feel like in the limited opportunities I was able to get, I was able to show well and maximize those. But for me, it was a priority to get me somewhere where I could get more of those opportunities. He's definitely going to get there this season. Like, you have Neemias Queta, who I'm not so sure is an NBA player. Amari Williams is a rookie. Xavier Tillman's 6'7", and I'm not so sure that he's an NBA player anymore at this point. And Garza is going to be a guy who's got a high motor. Like, he stressed his ability to play at 100 miles an hour. He's always going to give it 100% on both ends of the floor. And he said that he's a guy who can kind of fit into any offensive scheme in this league. Like, he's can work out of the perimeter. Like, he hasn't shown the most high efficiency from three-point range, but like he can hit the outside shot. He's got good low post work, and he has the IQ and the in-between-the-ears stuff to be a good connector for a Boston Celtics offense that's going to need those type of guys this season. Josh Minott talked about his joining the Celtics here and what brought him to Boston, and he said, I just say this summer, I felt like I had the opportunity to help win. Nothing's and then he said nothing's given in this league. Everything's kind of earned. And he said, don't expect anything. And honestly, that's everything to me. Just I need the opportunity to get the chance to prove who I am and show what I can do. Shit, I feel like I can guard like 1 through 4, maybe some 5, but I'd say at least 1 through 4 for sure. So this is a guy who's going to bring a lot of defensive versatility, a crazy athlete. Like, I saw he's skying up for uber athletic blocks throughout the limited opportunities that he's gotten in Minnesota so far. So excited to see what both these guys can bring in these kind of specialist roles. And hopefully Brad finds another diamond in the rough here, another Luke Cornett kind of success story where weren't really looking like an NBA player. They were trending towards being out of the league on these vet minimum contracts in their early to mid-20s, and they end up being mainstays in the Celtics rotation and end up getting paid later down the line. Hopefully that's the case again with either one of these two guys. If you guys believe in Brad Stevens to make that happen, though, go down below and hit that thumbs up icon before we move into the next segment of today's show. If you believe in Brad Stevens to make the right moves and develop these players into some real rotation pieces, go down below and hit that thumbs up icon. All right, let's get into the next part, talking about the Celtics potentially trading Anfernee Simons. This one's going to be more of the quicker segments that we have on the show because this has been something that we've teased ever since they made the move for Anfernee Simons, trading away Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers. I thought it was a fantastic move by Brad Stevens, but there could be even more to the story, trading Anfernee Simons and getting off of more salary cap and trying to get under this luxury tax here. Jake Fisher of the Steinline said this about potentially trading Anfernee Simons here. He said, at a certain point in time, could Boston just move him? Yes. Are they actively looking to move him? I would say they're actively open to moving him. But I don't think Boston is calling around and trying to move Anfernee Simons right now. I just think he and his representation are very well aware that the Celtics are not married to having him start this season in green and white, but they would be very happy and willing to do so if that's the case. Brad Stevens has talked highly about these free agent acquisitions, trade acquisitions, Anfernee Simons and Georges Niang. And you know what? Like he said, they're not married to these guys. If the right deal comes along, Brad Stevens will make it happen. If they can find a trade partner for Georges Niang, I'm sure they're going to try to make that happen before the season starts. And the same case with Anfernee Simons, but he has spoken highly of both of these talents, and he has said that he's well content with rolling into this next season with both of them on the roster. Now, before we get into the final segment and the Jayson Tatum injury update on today's program, get hooked up with this awesome Jayson Tatum jersey here. 25% off using code HOMERUN with our friends over at Fanatics. Chatsports.com/Tatum sale. You can get it at the link in the comment section and description of today's show. If you don't have a Jayson Tatum jersey, go get one for a discount today. All right, let's get into this JT injury update before we wrap up on today's show. Look, he's been in the pool. He's been working slowly but surely, very early in this Achilles tendon recovery process, and all has gone well so far. Like, all signs point that he is on the right track, and he's going to be on schedule for his return, not in this upcoming season, but in 2026, 2027. Now, Brad Stevens kind of went very well in depth in this whole situation. We're going to go through a lot of quotes from what he said about JT and as well as Jaylen Brown a little bit as he is recovering alongside Tatum in the Celtics clubhouse. Brad said this. He said he seems to be doing very well. Rehabbing's hard. Anyone who's been through a long injury and a long recovery, it's just a challenge, mental challenge, physical challenge, obviously. But he got the surgery right away, and from that point on, his mindset was, we're going after this thing and trying to get better. He's a competitor, and he's going to compete in everything that he does. I'm really encouraged. It's been fun to spend time with him every day, and that's an important part there, every single day. Jayson Tatum has been in the Celtics building every single day. Jaylen Brown has been in the Celtics building pretty much every single day, and it's so awesome to see our franchise cornerstones rehabbing in Boston, spending their offseason in Boston, and being around this organization. Like, they are the franchise players, and they are finally, really leaning into that and leaning into being the faces of the Boston Celtics, doing their offseason rehab work in Beantown. Brad Stevens with more here on JT. He said Jayson is working hard every single day. He's literally been here every day except for a few days break. But when he takes a few days break, trainer Nick Sang goes with him. So he's still working every single day. It's been unique to be here in June and the early part of July, but both Jayson and Jaylen are here. We've played obviously late in the playoffs, and this is usually the time where guys get away. But coming off of each of them having surgery, they both been here. Jaylen was in this morning. He did a shooting workout, looks good. Jayson was in, moving pretty fast on that boot today. And all indications are they've been progressing at incredible rates, which is great. But we're not going to put any pressure on Jayson to get back anytime soon. We have no reason to believe that Jaylen won't be all clear and ready to go fairly shortly. He's going to be ready to go at the start of next season. And look, if there's any duo in this league that I believe in, after hardship, like, yes, they had these stacked teams, but unsure roles early on in their careers, and then they go through late playoff heartbreak and the finals run and all the nonsense that went into those two seasons, losing to the Warriors, like Tatum having his struggles, and the following year against the Heat, Tatum getting hurt and Brown having his struggles. And then it all culminates in a championship in 2024. Then another setback here in 2025. JT tears his Achilles. Jaylen Brown tears his meniscus. And now, you're looking at a very big, uncertain Celtics season next year, and Tatum will be on the shelf all the way until 2026-27. But if there's anybody in this league that I believe in, it is Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They have the third most 30-30 scoring nights between a duo in NBA history all time, and there's no reason to believe that they won't break this record upcoming soon. JT is going to be great in his recovery, and I expect him to probably have the greatest Achilles tendon recovery the sport has ever seen. I'm not going to lie. It's unprecedented that a player of his caliber and his age and his injury history to this point has ever suffered an injury like this. He's going to bounce back better than anybody ever has. That'll do it for today's edition of Celtics Today by Chat Sports. Lock us in for all the Celtics rumors and updates that we will get the rest of this offseason for free right here, youtube.com/CelticsTV. We'll see you guys all in the next one. And as always, let's go C's.